He leans in. This is the fireside chat one. We'll bring the iPad up there. So, you want an internship. Don't have any slides for you. Just me, just you. We're going to talk about this. A lot of people approach us at Into Being and say, can I have an internship? I've been studying and I'd really like to intern with your company. Now, before the COVID pandemic, that was something that we could frequently say yes to. What we've been finding over the pandemic, obviously without in-person, 2020 and stuff like that, it was really, really hard to bring interns in. Now that's starting to happen again across the board. I think you'll find companies are open to you asking them for an internship. But guess what? It's gotten harder still because companies are busy. Left and right, we are hearing that companies are swamped. Lead times are going out. And you think to yourself, well, if lead times are going up and you're swamped, don't you want interns? Here's the hard part. Companies recognize that interns rarely deliver value when they're there at the company. That's the chance to find out that this person could be a great fit with the company. The internship is going to be wonderful. It's going to be great for you. Hopefully the company gets a little something out of it, but oftentimes they're done in good faith to try to build the community and to try to see if you're a good candidate for future hiring. So they're wonderful to do. They're important. They're important for our community. But it means that you, as an internship candidate, need to have a sense of what the company is up against, what the company is looking for. And if a company like Into Being, if we're any indication, when a company is busy and churning through great projects, we want to mentor people. But there are some things that are really important to bring to the table. And not just to bring to the table from the perspective of on your resume, but to bring to the table in a sense that when people look at you and talk with you, it's oozing out of every pore. We can tell that this is who you are down deep. And before we talk about that list of things, let's talk about what kinds of majors might be interesting to a company like Into Being, a company in medical and life science product development. Here we are at Into Being. We're doing mechanical, electrical, software design. We're doing vendor management. We're doing regulatory strategy and regulatory submissions to the FDA. We're doing design for manufacturability, doing lots of prototyping, as well as working with vendors later on to develop medical devices for our clients. So what might you want to have as a degree that you're working on, coming in the door and saying, hey, I'd really like an internship? Well, biomedical engineering is an easy one. Biomedical engineers often find a place at companies like Into Being, as well as mechanical, electrical, and software engineers. There's often space for people who are just really, really good with their hands and have always had a penchant for building things. The more things, the better. Embedded systems is a growing point of interest. If you've been really good in your early years building things with Arduinos and Teensies and other programmable systems, but not just throwing the code at it, actually getting the sensors to work and the LEDs because you built a little robot and then you went beyond that. There seems to be a trend among people who love to hack coffee makers. When we hear things like that about you, we're interested. It's not just what you did on paper. It's not just the classes you took. It's what are you passionate about in these kinds of fields, and how have you applied it up till now? It's also how do you work with people? If you think we don't want to hear about your summer at the ice cream shop, that's probably not true. We want to know how you interacted with your coworkers, how you interacted with your boss. We want to know what sorts of challenges you faced and what sorts of things you overcame. We're going to be looking as we think about that with you at what kind of a person you are. How do you attack problems? How willing are you to run into situations and learn things, but not run beyond your abilities? Companies today are overwhelmed. They're busier than ever here at the end of 2023. If they're going to think about you for an eventual position, they need to know where they can plug you in as fast as possible and you can be effective as close to day one as possible. Training is important, but it's oftentimes only the large companies that have the luxury of training you for 6 to 18 months before you really find your home inside the company. When you read job postings, you'll read things like team player, self-starter, goal-oriented, details-oriented. I remember looking at job postings and being frustrated by these kinds of comments. So let me see if I can unpack them for you for just a minute. What are companies actually looking for when they say these sorts of things? Team player, that's an interesting one. I like to think back to the day when beautiful pocket watches could be built by a single person over the course of days or weeks, or maybe even longer. A single trained jeweler can create something of amazing beauty. They can find ways to create things that work for them, tricks of the trade that are beautiful, integrated into their workflow. It doesn't need to work for anybody else. It just has to work for them. It's the craftsman mentality, and it's a beautiful thing to behold. I hope nobody goes away thinking that I'm tearing down those who can craft such amazing things. And there's a place for the craftsperson mentality in medical device development, especially when it comes to new ideas and trying things really fast, down and dirty solutions to find out if we're on the right track. So don't lose that spark. But when a company is looking for a team player, they're looking for somebody who won't just ride roughshod over everybody else, who will understand the needs of the stakeholders around the table, who will take their amazing talents and who will allow them to blend in right measure, letting them out at the right rate to work with the people around you. So if it's my way or the highway, it's probably the highway. But if your way can be let out in the right increments when you see the need, suggestions can be made, ideas offered to a receptive audience, it takes two to tango. That's more of what it means to be a team player. Self-starter. Some people, many people, are waiting around for someone to give them a job. Tell me what to do, and I'll turn the crank. Actually, that's exceptionally valuable. There's many times when what is needed is simply a willingness to attack what is there when you're told what it is. And it's enough to wait for someone to tell you what to do. There are many roles where that is completely appropriate, and to do otherwise might not actually be a great idea. Not so in the medtech development world, because what we're trying to do is bring everything together. It wouldn't do to have a conductor in a symphony who had to tell the violinist, I want you to play this part. The violinist better come prepared to play that part, to anticipate what's going to be needed, and to start when it's necessary, looking to the conductor for subtle cues as to how this all goes together. To be a self-starter means to look for opportunities. It means to try things. Again, there's a fine balance between riding roughshod over other people and finding your place and then playing your instrument to its maximum. If you're thinking about an internship with a company like Intubing or any medtech company, I encourage you to think about all the things that you've done, the places where you've gone out on your own initiative to do something really cool, or something maybe you don't think is cool, but it shows that initiative. And it shows how you took that initiative, tempered it with the needs of others, and came to solutions for whoever you are working with. What about goal-oriented and detail-oriented? Well, like the last thing we talked about, I just need a job, You need to be goal-oriented and detail-oriented in medtech product development, whether it's an internship or a position. It means you have to have an understanding of what it is that people are asking for. It's not enough to say, I did work on it and I'll do more work next week. The question is, what are you trying to accomplish? What would success look like? All the way from early stage prototyping to late stage medical device testing, verification, and validation, knowing what you are trying to accomplish is of paramount importance. I've seen too many meetings happen in other organizations where people walk into a room, argue for more than the allotted hour, and walk out with everybody agreeing to do more work on it. Nothing's going to come out of that next week. What is the goal? What are the details that need to be accomplished? Some of the best examples that I've seen are people who will walk into a meeting with a notebook and walk out only when their list of action items has been reviewed with everybody of concern in that meeting. You know that you're going to get what you're looking for. So if you're thinking about an internship or a position with a company like IntoBeing or another medtech development company, please think about these things. Think about how you can demonstrate not just what you did, not just the hours you worked. Don't shy away from volunteer opportunities. Don't shy away from things that you think, well, that wasn't engineering, that wasn't science. That's okay. We want to hear about it. Because what a company like ours is looking for is to understand who you are as a person, how you'll fit on that team, how you will drive as hard as you can, but not drive over people, how you'll work with that group. Make sure that you understand what their needs are. Make sure that they understand what yours are. That's important too. And that you'll walk out actually moving the ball forward. I can't tell you how many times we've run into situations where teams don't know how to move the ball forward. And that is really the goal of a development process. If this is interesting to you, I hope that you'll like and subscribe to our channel on MedTech Crossroads. Speaking of communicating, there you go. Please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. As always, MedTech Crossroads is meant to save you time and effort in your medical product development journey. So please tell us how we can do better. Tell us topics that you're interested in. Give us the feedback. We love it.